Welcome to Scrum Masters Elite_UK, the place to explore strategy, talent sustainable development. Sign up now.
When looking at the list of names set to depart from Hoskins Sotutu, Dalton Papali'i, to Sevu Reece or Fehi Fineanganofo, I don't just see a loss of expertise. I see a generation of talent standing at the crossroads of life's major choices. These choices are not necessarily right or wrong, they are the consequence of a fiercely competitive environment, where opportunities and recognition are not always distributed evenly. What makes me reflect even more deeply is the observation that this flow is unlikely to stop. When a World Cup cycle ends, mass departures almost become inevitable. It resembles a natural law of modern rugby. But if we stop at merely accepting it as reality, we might be missing the chance to understand the underlying causes and to seek a sustainable path forward. I am particularly struck by the view that New Zealand still has the capacity to produce new talent. This brings hope.
Yet hope, if not accompanied by action, gradually becomes fragile. When Hansen says, "The train will stop if we don't continue to make efforts from the ground up," it is not just a warning, it is also a responsible reminder. Developing from the roots, it sounds simple, but in reality, it is incredibly complex. It requires long-term investment, patience, and a clear vision. Acknowledging that the current development system may not be performing well enough is an important step forward. Only by confronting shortcomings directly can change happen. I sense a cautious confidence in Hansen's remarks about the current leadership. The decisions described as not rushed and carefully considered suggest a shift in management thinking. In a world where everything moves fast, maintaining composure and placing the right people in the right roles can be the factor that makes a real difference. However, what troubles me most is the story of the young players. Those who are not yet stars. Those whose names have not been called, those who might be overlooked simply because they have not shone at the right moment.
Hearing that no one knows who will excel under the age of 15, I recognize a universal truth. Potential does not always reveal itself early. If a system focuses only on the obvious stars, many silent talents will be forgotten. And when they see no path forward, they will look elsewhere to places where they feel opportunities exist. This is not betrayal, it is a natural human reaction when faced with the choice between staying and growing. Another aspect worth considering is the competition from other leagues. Particularly the NRL in Australia. When another sport becomes more attractive, not just financially but in terms of experience, retaining players becomes harder than ever. This raises the question, what makes a sport truly compelling? Perhaps it is not just money. It is environment, culture, and a sense of belonging. When Hansen remarks that the jersey has lost a bit of its appeal, I sense a hidden regret behind his words. The All Blacks jersey was once a symbol of pride, ambition, and a dream every young player aspired to touch.
But if internal conflicts and a lack of unity tarnish that image, restoring trust cannot happen overnight. It requires collective effort, transparency, and the spirit of rebuilding from within. For me personally, the takeaway is this: opportunities do not always come from where you start. Yet the decision to stay or leave should be based on understanding your own value and long-term goals, not just immediate benefits. Likewise, if I were in a position to build a system, I would need to remember that each individual has their own journey. And the system's role is to create as many pathways as possible. For fans, perhaps now is the time to adopt a more compassionate perspective. Instead of lamenting players leaving, we can recognize that they are pursuing their own journey. At the same time, we should place trust in new talents, those waiting for their chance to step into the light. Sustainable development always begins at the foundation. Whether in sports, education, or any field, investing in people, development systems, and core values will always be the key to navigating the shifts of the times. The departure of a generation is not the end. It can be the beginning of a new cycle if we are wise enough to learn, brave enough to change, and persistent enough to rebuild from the very basics.
Thank you to all the talents who have accompanied us. Believe in new beginnings and a strong foundation.